Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Shalom. There's something I noticed, and I wanted to bring it before people's attention. There is a spirit of fear in the land, and people are afraid. And when it affects the church, that's time to address it. I took a long walk today with my dog behind a grocery store that's nearby, and to my delight, I found out it had a lot of nice scenery, woods. It was a less traveled road. It was a public road. It ended up at a church, and being the Pink Panther that I am, the investigative type and adventurous type, I love the people of God. I'm always wanting to maybe try to find some good people to be around and have fellowship with, and I keep attempting that, but seems like every time I do, I gotta check the resolution on this. Every time I do, something will happen that makes it into a somewhat negative instead of a pleasant experience. So I at first had a wonderful time with the dog. She was very happy with the walk, and we came to the nice building in a perfect setting at the end of the dead end, and I went to say hello because a man was coming out of the double front doors. And he was very friendly, very nice, the way you'd expect a man of God to be. And I told him I knew the black spirituals. It was a black church. And I had been in one of those salt specks in the pepper shaker at one point. I was in a black choir that I knew order my steps. I am determined they were favorites of mine. And I also enjoyed Get Your House in Order. Told him it looked very nice inside there. I was invited to go in. A woman came out of the sanctuary area and was trying to show me in, but I told her I had a dog outside and I couldn't stay. But then this man came along. I guess he was the Clint Eastwood of the place. Make my day. His eyes were sort of red and suspicious, and he asked me who I was, where I was parked. He said, "Yeah, I saw you outside," and blah, blah. And so I said, "Well, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind." I used my sword because he was giving me such a look that some people would have really been offended and just said something not edifying. He wanted to know my name. He wanted to know where I was from, what I was driving, who I was with. Is there anyone else outside? It was Caesar in the church. So I left and I said, well, I wouldn't have come in if I thought I was going to be investigated. Because he was like, when I said, well, what's your name? He says, well, it doesn't matter what my name is. And so the other man was so nice. And he was like, oh, it's okay. She's walking her dog. He was very sweet. And he was truly a welcoming, nice, kindly man of God. And I said, this is the trouble with the church. Caesar is in the church because of the 501c tax exemption. It's become a hybrid, where it's not the true seed, what Christ had planted, where it's a spiritual building not made with hands. It's become an institution where it's cooperating with the state, and you have state people in there, and they want you to do things a certain way, and I think they're in there putting fear into people. And I know we're in perilous times, but if you have the 501c tax exemption, you have to comply with the state. You have to disseminate funds the way they say, and you can only give them to who they stipulate the criteria for. It's not just your vote of the believers. It's what the state has made as guidelines for that 501c tax exemption, which incorporates you as a business under the state, so you're subservient. Now you've lost your constitutional rights. You're told you cannot speak politically in the pulpit. You can't even pass out some literature. There's a lot of rules and guidelines, and the flock is not aware of it, but the pastors are. And I only became aware of it when a man I knew told me about, I don't know, 2 years ago. This went on in 1954, I was told. I didn't really do all the research when they came and approached the pastors and said, how would you like a Social Security check when you retire? All I know is it is really a shame that there's so many people afraid right now, and this isn't really of God to be worried about things, because it's good to watch and pray, but it's not good to be so fearful that you're going to not let people come and maybe be saved because you've created a cloud of suspicion and made them feel defensive. They would never come back. I would go back because of the other man, but I decided I won't go back because it is predominantly all black, and a single woman I have found, not just in a different color church, but a single woman a lot of times is not as well received as a woman uh, with a person, and your man, because you're considered a threat, and especially in a different color race church, some people are racist in the building. Let's put it that way. So that was my little walk, and it was a beautiful walk. And um, enough said. But the Spirit does expressly say in the last days will come perilous times, times of stress. And I actually took my jacket and I said, look, I don't have any guns. I dropped my jacket on the ground. I said, you know, what I was a woman that needed exercise with my dog. I ended up at a dead end in a beautiful setting where there was a beautiful church. And I was investigating the possibility and listening to the choir music to see if I should ever come back. But you have a blessed day. I did get pictures taken of me. People were watching me at the store. I got my groceries. I came home and made some food, and Gracie has her bones outside that I like to get for her, natural bones. I don't buy Chinese treats. All right, thank you, and I hope you all have a blessed day. I'll make another video when I have the nerve.